Hello, Jade here from The Rawsome Truth. Today I want to talk to you about cooked food addiction. I am the first to put my hand up and say, yes, I am an addict. Hello, my name is Jade and I am a cooked food addict. I remember hearing about cooked food addiction years ago and rolling my eyes thinking, what a load of crap. And, because we've all been eating cooked food since pretty much birth, once we're weaned off our mother's breast. I mean, some poor babies never even get breast milk. They're straight onto formula. So they're on cooked food straight away. And so many of us are just indoctrinated to believe cooked food is what it is. Actually, if anything, you really didn't put much thought into it. I think cooked food addiction has become worse over the years, especially I would say in the last 20 to 30 years, because there's no more family structure like we used to have anymore. Both mother and father work. Not that I'm against any of that. I'm just showing how things have changed. The mother used to cook a home-cooked meal. Nowadays, the poor mum, she's working all day. She's, and you're getting your kids off to school and whatever. You're tired when you come home. You're grabbing convenience food. Generally, a lot of processed food is going out onto people's plates. I mean, nowadays, the frozen food aisle is massive because there's such a demand for convenient foods. So I think the addictions become even worse because there's so much salt and sugar and preservatives added to food that people are craving more. They're craving more of that poison. I, years ago, worked for a huge weight loss company, and I used to see probably close to 1,000 people a week in big groups. And I would run weight loss support groups. And, this particular company is a huge company worldwide, and they promote you can eat as much as you like as long as it fits in your budget. Now, I worked for that company for a few years, and I maintained sticking in that budget for many years. But I watch people fall off again and again and again and again. And I know why. Because the foods that you've always been addicted to, you were just having in smaller portions. So, of course, you're craving more and more all the time, and you never get yourself off that weight loss merry-go-round. You never lose your weight. That addiction is still there. And, I would see people lose their weight, get tiny. Yay, I love my life. And then you wouldn't see them for ages, and 6-9 months down the track, they'd be walking back in the door, and the weight would be on and higher again because they didn't have that control. Portion controlling a cake, portion controlling KFC, portion controlling Hungry Jack's, all that was allowed because it can fit in your budget. People were having burgers and chicken and, all sorts of things. It teach the 5 food groups, but, so many people weren't getting their fruits and vegetables or nothing into them, and that addiction is still there. Food addiction is a huge thing, and we have to know it's a huge thing. In the Western world, the obesity and overweight rate is 61% of people. That's a problem. That is a huge problem. So many years ago when I was working in this company, I started to investigate and think, wow, something's not right here. Only 10% of people ever lost their weight through this company and through any calorie control program. It's not just against this particular company. And out of that 10%, only 5% ever kept it off. And for how long? I was in that 5%, but I ended up putting on, some weight again because I just couldn't maintain that calorie controlment any longer. I was hungry. And, and because I fill up in so many diet products, once I started to realize I don't want to put all these diet products into my body, I had nothing to fill myself up. I was constantly tired while calorie restricting. You're on about 1,200 calories, and I was constantly tired. So I was drinking 8 to 10 cans of Pepsi Max a day. I kid you not. And, you know, I was wired. I was absolutely wired. And that was how I kept going because my portions were so small. Anyway, I started searching for so long, but I never got into this kind of world at this point in time because I was still a meat eater and I was looking for answers. There has to be a way that people don't keep falling off the merry-go-round. And little by little, I found my way into vegan lifestyle, and admittedly, I put on weight when I became a vegan, and because I come off the calorie restriction. And, you know, if you've been on 1,200 calories and all of a sudden you start filling your body up with higher calories, ultimately you're going to gain weight. And, you know, I actually started to realize more and more what a food addict was when I became vegan. And nothing against veganism, this is me. And I was just chowing down, you know, food like you wouldn't believe, but all the wrong foods. I was filling up on grains like you wouldn't believe. You know, I wasn't piling my plate with veggies or anything like that. I was piling up with a lot of breads, which did nothing for me. My skin ended up getting so bad it wasn't funny. So there were big problems for me, and I realized what an addiction problem I really had. So as I'm messing around on Instagram, now I had been introduced to raw living a few times because I'd been on quite a few juice fasts. So I knew there was something in this raw eating because I felt amazing. I felt absolutely amazing on raw. And it was always in the back of my head, you know what, I need to eat raw. And I had it in my head for so long, I need to eat raw. But having the thoughts in your head and actually making that commitment are two different things. And I would try and go raw for, 2 weeks at a time, on and off. But I really didn't have that much idea what I was doing. I was still putting in, extra fats because I thought I had to have lots of nuts and seeds and avocado and whatever. But I didn't have much idea. Anyway, as you do, I'm putting pictures on Instagram and I'm checking out other people's hashtags. And I kept seeing the hashtag 80-10-10. Had no idea what it was, but hey, I'll start using it. So I start using this hashtag, but had no idea. But I kept clicking on the 80-10-10 and I kept seeing lots of raw pictures. I thought, oh, that's funny. I'm hashtagging it with all my vegan stuff. I just thought it was a vegan thing, which ultimately it can be anything, really, 80-10-10. It is the book by Dr. Douglas Graham. However, it's 80% carbohydrates, 10% protein, 10% carbs. That's what we're looking at with the macros. So I thought, you know what, there's something to this. So I started Googling 80-10-10, came up Dr. Douglas Graham's book. I thought, I'm going to read this. So I started reading it. Now, this was the start of really changing my mindset. And on and off, I'd keep having a go, attempt, go off. Couldn't make a commitment. I wanted to make a commitment. I promise you that. 80-10-10 is like, my goodness, it's changed my life. But I couldn't beat the addiction. Anyway, I was in a raw group and a girl who I just think is amazing. Her name is Abby Lee. Sorry if you don't want your name mentioned. But she's absolutely brilliant. And she did this really inspiring post one day and something clicked with me. And I thought, I'm going to try this. Anyway, a few weeks later, she posted a link to this book, Raw Eating by A.T.Hovannessian. Sorry if I said it wrong. And you'll notice that when you download this, it says, please share this book with anybody you believe needs to be eating raw, which is the whole world. So share this book with the whole world. I will put the link in here for this book so you can get this book. This book changed my life, my mindset. 80-10-10 is my Bible. This is like a book to just change the mindset. It changed the mindset because it talks about cooked food addiction. And this was the stuff that I needed. I am such a mindset person. I believe everything comes down to the mind. I mean, anyone can eat raw food. if you get the mind working. It's all about the mind. Anyway, I'm going to read something he wrote here. When a cooked eater tries to feed on exclusively natural food stuff, such as honey, forget honey because we're vegan, walnuts, grains, raw fruits and vegetables, and he has no further appetite for any sort of raw food, the natural demands of his organism are at that moment completely met, and he is satiated to the full. But in spite of this, even if he should have already taken several times his normal daily requirements of food stuff, he still behaves as though he had eaten nothing and feels a great demand for a dish of highly seasoned meat, rich and appetizing. Or, it might be a huge big bowl of fried rice or whatever, tempeh, whatever. That cooked food addiction. This is not hunger anymore. It is the irritation caused by the poisons which have been stored in the body and which now demand fresh poisons. For me, that just clicked. The penny dropped. I said, oh my God, I'm like a junkie. I'm a junkie for cooked food. I'm a cooked food junkie. And I kept thinking of a heroin addict wanting more heroin. And I thought, wow. And that for me was just a real penny dropper. It is the cry of the demon that lies there sprawled and demands new tools to tear the human organism to pieces. The prudent, strong-willed raw eater hears that cry in all its vehemence, day in, day out, but he ignores it with all his soul and does not make one jot of concession. In other words, when you're hearing that, understand it is your body demanding more poison. And that's going to keep happening, but you can't let into that. And that's what I tell myself all the time. I'm like, no, that is my body. That is not my mind. And I know that's not what's good for me. This book is absolutely amazing. It truly, truly is. It really, it talks about nutrition in here. It talks about addiction. It talks about the dangers of cooked food, how many dangers there are. And it really changes the way you see food. I personally just think eating raw is the best thing you can do for your body. I don't judge people who eat cooked food. I ate cooked food most of my life, and I know how hard it's been for me to get here. It really has. It has been such a mental struggle, and I struggle sometimes a lot, especially when I'm highly stressed. My natural reaction is to want to, delve into something, comfort food, because I've had eating addictions my whole life. And, I just, for anybody, who has been on that weight loss merry-go-round for 100 years, I remember a lady said to me, Jade, if you can work out why people who are overweight hit that dead end and can't keep going, you'll be a very wealthy girl. Well, I'm still poor, but I have worked out why people hit that standstill. It's the addiction. This is your way, raw eating. Live abundantly. I live so abundantly, and this is why I don't promote, I have a strict thing on just not promoting that starvation, because my message is really to addicts, to food addicts who have struggled on that weight loss merry-go-round your whole life. Live abundantly. Live abundantly the way I am. I feel amazing. I feel good. I'm never hungry. My body never craves for anything. And when it does, I tell myself, get away, poison. I know what you're doing, and I'm not falling in because I'm feeling wonderful. Addiction of any type is hard. I believe cooked food and food addictions are harder than any addiction I've ever had to break. If you've been following me for a long time, you'll realise I've had a lot of addictions, including drugs and alcohol. But this is the hardest, because I can avoid smoking, I can avoid drinking, I can avoid shopping. I've been a shopping addict. I can avoid all of these things. I can keep myself out, from alcohol, whatever. I can avoid them. But I have to eat. I need to eat. I can't survive without eating. Food addiction is the biggest addiction there is. And I truly believe cooked food has caused more damage to more addicts than any other substance. I just believe for anybody who really wants to commit to raw, do it. Get 80-10-10. Download this book, and as I have, print it out. Sorry, I have to print things. If you can read things on your iPad, good. I'm going to have to learn because I can't take all my books with me when I go overseas. But this is just my Bible, and it's coming everywhere with me. Just commit, and you will live abundantly, and you will finally, that whole binging, overeating, bloating, feeling yucky, feeling remorse, all of those emotions, beating yourself up, oh, I can't believe I've done this again, the dieting yo-yo, all of it, banish it. Commit to raw. I'm not going to tell anyone it's easy, but when you make the commitment and you start to build the habits, it becomes easy, that I promise you. Anyway, enough ranting because I'm 16 minutes into this video. It's become very long. I am going to finish with just some writing. Of course, for those narrow-minded and backward-looking people who are irrevocably biased in favour of cooked foods and drugs, the principles of raw eating are far too advanced. But today we live in the cosmic age and not in the Middle Ages, when every progressive idea or great invention was for years persecuted by the ignorant rabble. Today is the question of the survival of the annihilation of the human race that is placed before us. Hesitation is inhuman. Download this book. All right. Don't take lives, live life. Get your fruit on and your greens too. Commit to this abundant life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Give it a like. Give it a share if you think it's going to help someone. All right. See you soon.
Because you know I'm all about that bass,